One of the names that comes up in the talk of a possible successor to Andrew Scheer as Conservative leader is the MP for the Quebec City riding of Louis Saint-Laurent, Gérard Deltell. Monsieur Deltell joins me now in the studio. Monsieur Deltell, we'll start with the obvious question. I mean, as I mentioned, your name keeps coming up. Are you considering running?
Well, the point is that we are still in the days of Andrew Scheer, and all our talk have to go to Andrew. And he did a tremendous job as a leader. He did his best, especially when before the election, as a parliamentarian leader, he was fantastic. We were very united. We worked hard. Obviously, we had to address some issues during the campaign, and Andrew did what he had to do. I had the privilege as a member of parliament to be very close to him as each and every member, and I asked to have a private discussion with him. And I had that one 2 weeks ago, and I said to him privately, we were him and me in his office, nobody around, and I said, Andrew, you're such a good man, I don't want to see you suffering so much. And you have no chance to get re-elected, to win the review vote in Toronto, and for the good of you and your family, I think you should think of stepping down. But it was not easy to make.
But you've been there for 11 years. You've been under Rana Ambrose, under Stephen Harper. Yep. You've been a very, very high profile and well-respected Quebec MP. Why would you not consider running?
Well, today is the time of Andrew Scheer, and all of the talk to him.
Are you getting phone calls, though? I mean, are you being solicited? Are people talking? Things happen behind the scenes.
I would say that the phone call is now an archaism, because now we're talking about.
Are you getting tweets? Are you getting text messages?
Things like that, yes, for sure. But it's not the beginning of my life with that. It's another repetition, because I have been elected 11 years ago, and I had seen 4 of my leaders step down during the mandate. So at each and every time, it's a history that repeats itself. People asking me, so will you run?
Okay. Let's ask something. You say that this is still Andrew Scheer's time, and it is. He's an interim leader. I'll ask you bluntly, should Andrew Scheer stay on as interim leader?
Yes.
Because as you're aware, a lot of party members are angry about learning about this arrangement where some of his costs for private education for his children was defrayed by party members. Yeah. What do you say when you go back to your riding? What are you going to say?
Yes, 2 elements. First of all, I think that Andrew proved without a shadow of a doubt that he's a huge, great, strong parliamentarian leader. And we have seen that in the last 2 years. And as far as I'm concerned, he will do a tremendous job in the next month. But when we talk about this famous issue of a school board, school pay, and things like that, what I have to say is that I learned that yesterday. I learned that by media. And that kind of stuff should be public. Should be public before someone discovers that. Because we all know that in politics, you can't hide anything. Right. One day, someone will know. And usually, it's not when you want to know it. So what I would suggest to a party is that when you do something like that, say it clearly.
Yeah, because I mean, what I'm saying is when you go back to your riding and you talk to party members, some of them will say, we didn't know that we were paying our party, party contributions to help him have his children in private school. So should they get mad at Andrew Scheer? Should they get mad at the executive of the party?
Well, what I've understood is that it's coming from the party. It was an offer made by the party to Mr. Scheer. That Mr. Scheer has nothing to do about the process of that. I think it's quite normal to have the party helping a little bit the family of the leader, because it's very demanding for the family. But on the other hand, you shall do that publicly. Yeah. And be clear with the people, then people will decide if it's right or wrong.
Should he repay the money?
No.
So that's
No.
Okay. No. What about people say that actually challenges his interim leadership, that maybe he should step down?
No, that's not the case. That's not the case, and then like the people who say, oh, this was the drop over the glass. I don't know how you say that in English. La goutte qui a fait déborder le vase. Right. What I want to say to that is that, it wasn't a proposition by the party. It's not him who was directly involved in that.
Okay. Let's look at the party, what the party needs. First of all, if you're looking for a new leader, what's the essence? Is it different policy? Is it a different approach and a different person and personality?
Well, that's what leadership race is all about. This is a time and opportunity. It's a fantastic opportunity for each and every party to have the opportunity to see new faces and to discover new leaders and to know and to discover how they are, if they are good or bad, and Quebec, what they want to table on that.
But in Quebec, for example, because many of your colleagues have been very critical about how you didn't have the results you hoped for in Quebec in the last election. What do you need? Is it a bilingual leader? Is it a leader who doesn't have social conservative values? Is it a different environmental policy? What is it?
Well, for sure, we need a fluently bilingual leader. without a shadow of doubt, we need that.
On the environment.
On the environment, for sure, we have to move on, as we did in the last election. Because as you know, in the last elections before, 2015 and 2011, we didn't have a clear plan on that. We had a clear plan. Yes, for sure, some people said that's not good. Some other people said
didn't
that's
trust
great.
it. They didn't think it was credible. Many people
because it was the first step. I mean, the first major step we have made on that issue. Even if when we were in office, you know, the emission of pollution reduced by 2%, but people think that okay, we did nothing. We did great things, but the point is that we table a platform on environmental issue in the last election. For sure, we have to move and to go further with that, based on the fact that taxing is not the way, but helping those who pollute to reduce their pollution, that's the conservative way to do it.
If you were a candidate in the leadership race, would you have a different environmental policy, a tax on carbon pricing system? Would you recommend that?
Well, we will see what the debate will go for during the leadership race, but what I think is that, what I've said earlier is that, you know, we have to address the big polluter. And this is all the hypocrisy of the actual carbon tax, liberal carbon tax. The big polluter are not addressed as the small polluter. And as long as we don't address it correctly to the big polluter, we could do whatever we want. We will not achieve something. And the business owner knows exactly how they pollute and how to address it. So this is why I thought that our proposition to have a tax credit for business to reduce their own pollution with investment in high technology was the right way, the conservative way to do it.
So what was the biggest problem in Quebec, do you think?
Well, now it's over, I can address it publicly. Abortion. Social conservative issue were very tough to address in Quebec. You know, I remember in 2015 when I first went on the federal level with the conservative, I don't remember someone talked to me about abortion. But I can tell you something. In 2019, I don't remember the day when 10 people didn't talk to me about that.
So does that mean you cannot have a socially conservative leader because you'll always be vulnerable to attacks, questions, or whatever the controversy that would surround that leader?
Well, obviously, if you base on the last result, yes. But the point is that, you know, we have to be clear. We have to be clear that you can have a space for debate in of those issues. But as a conservative government, we will never open that debate again. Crystal clear, without a shadow of a doubt. A clear message saying, yes, you can have the proposition, we can talk about it, but we will never move on that.
I know you said that this is still Andrew Scheer's party, it's still his leadership, it's still his time. When will you decide? Because we can say this week, but with every growing week, with every passing week, there will be more pressure, there will be more text.
I'm not in that mood at all. I'm not in the mood that, okay, what will I do and what is the agenda and anything. What I'm asking to the party as each and every member is to know how things will run for the leadership race. Obviously, it will not be the same pattern that we had 4 years ago. We will not. We don't have 18 months in front of us.
Yeah, 12 candidates in 18 months. Yeah.
Well, but it's based on the in the time frame of some experience before. In 1983, Joe Clark lost his leadership bid in Winnipeg. I was there, by the way. I was a volunteer at that time. Mr. Clark lost his bid on January the 13th, and Mr. Mulroney was elected on June the 11th. Wow. So, and the same thing with Pierre-Éliott Trudeau, resigned on, everybody knows, on February the 29th, 1984, and Mr. Turner got elected as the new leader in June 20. So we are in the same pattern.
So in a word, a convention, what, in late summer, in the fall?
I think as soon as possible, but not in February, obviously. But I think that before September, we have to fix that situation.
And you will come and talk to us when you're announcing your candidacy.
Come on.
Okay, Monsieur Deltell, thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you.